never pray to God anymore. I'd rather no one hurt me. Redemption, I have waited for you to come and drown all my sin. My knees are drenched in the blood I spill just to get in. When I look around me, everything I had went up in flames. Everything I had went up in flames. My lonely way. I don't wanna fight anymore. Just turn around and leave me. The tear in my eye drops on the.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy George here, and I am proud to say that we are here for the final official round for the Raceface seasons, rounding out with the mixed multi-class mini enduro. Of course, round 4 here at the Nurburgring, but final official round of the season coming out, and very stoked to be here at a wet Nurburgring. It should be a good race, and hopefully we'll get some interesting moments. Of course, for these races, the drivers are sharing cars and sharing teams, so we are jumping into qualifying at the moment. I was meant to have a co-caster, Kyle, joining me. Kyle, are you here?
I was here.
So Kyle is here. Kyle wasn't here while I was trying to do sound checks for the first start of that, but good to have him here. Hopefully you can see the stream being broadcast at the moment. Looking at Mark Antle for the Retro Solo Boys in the 155, and he is going to be setting our first quali lap here in the wet, I believe. I mean, it's random variable weather, and we are here experiencing some downpours, very wet track conditions. Martin Yobert in the chat. So Carl, are you here? Can you give me a bit of a sound check?
First thing, 1, 2.
Can you give me a bit more of a sound check?
1, 2, 4.
No, can you give me a bit of a sound check on what you can see on the screen at the moment as well?
Oh, all is good. Just a slight bit of rain there, but yeah.
Okay, so Carl giving us a bit of a sound check there. That's okay. It sounds like you guys will be able to hear him. Mark Ansel then going to get that first lap in at 205.049. Going to be the pole sitting lap in the GT3. Zana Visaki is going to be out in the GT4s with JC Krobler, Steven Koenig. Not too many GT4s I see in the grid, but we are coming into the final round of the season, so it's to be expected that some guys can't make it all the way to the very end. Lionel Clue from the BWR Scorpions, he's going to go pole with a 203.285, so he's found a second, or 1.7 seconds over the likes of Antle. Fraser Cooper into third place, 2.1 seconds off the pace. Quite a lot of the guys just sitting in this 2-second off Clue's pace mark, so quite a bit of time to be found. They are going to catch up to the number 28 Lexus here. And a big shout out to our stream, of course. Shout out to our sponsors, Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Simulations as well. It's been a fantastic year for everybody involved in sim racing, and from us here at Raceface, want to just give a shout out to the viewers for putting in the time to come and join us while we go through this. So 14 minutes on the clock for them to set these quali times. It's quite a long quali session, and I think they're going to need it here in the wet. You can see their lap times a little bit longer. Nurburgring, not really the shortest circuit on the calendar, even in the dry. So the wet conditions then going to make the lap times a little bit longer. That's going to slow down their quali times. And a reminder that this weather is completely random, so it could stop raining at any second as well.
I mean, we both probably driven the track, but I mean, I drove the track for the first time on Monday in the wet, and it is very slippery if you come on that wet surface. So
it is. You have to be quite careful of the curbs as well, because the asphalt is quite grippy, but the concrete that they make the curbing out of does keep a lot of that water on it, and you do have to be careful of how you get onto it. Bruno Kedili is here to party in the 720S, and we're not even going to attempt the variant of White Rabbit Gaming team name that he went for. I know what he was doing here, but it's I once had a voice note that tried to pronounce the name, and it sounded something like that. So Bruno here is going to go pole temporarily, sent down to second almost immediately though by Lionel Clue again. That Lexus in the wet, I tell you, that's where it shines. I've said it before many a time, but in the wet, that is where that Lexus comes out. And right now, Lionel doing a very good job at keeping that out on the track. And up at the top, Bruno going to go and set himself. It looks like Lionel's actually going to just disconnect for the moment. So at this point in time, it's I think he's just getting something sorted with his sim rig perhaps, but pole sitter jumps out, will go back pole when he joins, as long as he's in the same car. You know, we've got entry list enforcing all of that, so that shouldn't be an issue. But when he does join back in, that will change things up. Does Antel go better? He's not currently up on his lap time. Who is though is the KK Racing Lexus, Ryan Ottens. He's 6/10 up here. That's not going to be good enough to get him up to the front of the order as Clue rejoins the server, but he will go up to 4th place at 204.917. Sebo Maloto for the KK Racing boys. His paint scheme there called Coral Inspired, and I can kind of see where the inspiration comes from. He's sitting in 6th place at the moment. He's got Cooper behind him. A couple of the KK boys here in the server I see. Brian Lewis has joined up for the Retro Neon, representing Retro Esports. And I do like the color scheme of the Saudi.
You know, Steve, I mean, George, if we go back to Bruno Cadilli and that 720, and you take a look at that paint scheme, or as Brian Lewis puts it on the wall, but I mean, you take a look at that 720 livery. I mean, you can't miss that any day of the week. I mean, you can see that in any kind of weather.
You're absolutely right. So I quite like the very neon-esque theme coming out, and the perfect way to dress your car up into a rainy round is to get it as bright as possible. If anyone does hit you, no excuses to be brought to the table. So it does look like Kedili going to be up on his lap time here. Is this going to be good enough for pole? It could be. In fact, Bruno going to come out over the final chicane and then into the final corner. He's got 3/10. Does he hold on to this speed coming out through the apex? Looks like he has had a good exit. This could be pole position for Bruno Cadilli. Where does he go when he crosses the line? Invalidated the lap, perhaps? Or did he... No, that was a 2:02.814. Timing sheets may be lying to us a little bit in where he could have gone up to. But third on the starting grid for now. Just 0.02 of a second behind Lewis. That's going to be an interesting battle for first and second. And they've still got an entire 10th to find to Clue.
I mean, I think in this Lexus, by the looks of it, there's only 2 Lexus in the grid. 3 actually. And I mean, if Clue can put out these times, what are the others capable of?
I mean, Clue's a good driver, so I'm impressed to see that he's managed to get this pole sitting lap at the moment. Interesting names here as well. So a couple of drivers missing from the lineup, but for the majority of it, looks like we've got a decently full grid here. Mostly GT3s, a little bit of a sprinkling of GT4s also entering in. But that was always sort of the onset from the get-go, was the fact that we're going to have less GT4s entered into it. For whatever reason, people don't seem to take to it as much. I see Fraser Cooper here in the Kai Aston Martin. He's currently up on his lap time, 3/10 up as he comes up to the Schumacher S's. So 3/10 for him here, potentially going to jump him up to 6th place. Maybe if he can find a little bit more in the final sector here, get himself up into the top 5. Nurburgring, at least one of the circuits that leads to some good racing, some good overtaking. So it's not really all written down in the quali session. It's not like Zandvoort where, once you're kind of at the back of the pack, you're relying on a lot of errors from other drivers. A lot of good racing can go down here. And drivers will know that they still want to start towards the front of the order regardless. They're still racing or sim racing drivers. And that competitive nature, the gamer-esque nature, makes you want to be the very best that you can. But if we get a wet race as well, that's going to be a very interesting scenario. So Fraser Cooper up into 5th place does get that into the top 5. Junior McCall, he's currently sitting in 4th place. He's getting a bang over lap time in here at the moment, 7/10 up on his time. So right now, Junior McCall already up on his lap time, coming into the first complex of corners and making his way out to turn 4. So I mean, being up almost a second on your lap before you even got to the end of sector 1.
I mean, I think he must be proud of himself for that. But I mean, I think after this lap, he will look at his time and see where he can improve.
Well, it's not done yet, and you can't celebrate anything until you've got it to the end of this lap for Junior McCall. So 7/10 up, has to hold on to it, and through the Schumacher races, looking very stable in the Lamborghini. So things are looking pretty positive. This could be potentially 2nd place to start things on the grid in our mini endurance race. But if he does put a foot amiss, that will be all that she wrote. But he is looking incredibly fast on this lap at the moment. Cadilli and it's now Morgan slots himself into 4th place. Junior McCall, is he going to beat his brother? He is. I think this is going to be pole position if he gets this to the line. I tell you what, this is looking incredibly good for the 444 ATK Academy, the junior team. Going to come over the line, and it will be pole position. A 2:02.5 comes down 0.08 of a second ahead of Clue, who is still out, mind you, looking to attack. Morgan McCall, he's still on. Morgan and Junior going to both pull over to the side of the track. And looks like Morgan going to jump back to the pits. Is he going to be able to get another lap in? Junior going to also be back in the pits. Will be interesting to see how things go for these two drivers. And some setup changes being made to both those 80k cars. So, I mean, both of them potentially looking quick. Bruno Cadilli up 0.2 of a second coming down into that final chicane. Uses a fair bit of curbing to get himself around in that 720S. Coasting through. A little bit understeery or oversteery coming out through the exit. But he's going to be chasing down to the line. I think he lost his time down there. He did indeed. A 202.9 comes down. That's not going to be good enough. Lionel Clue will snatch pole position back because it looks like... Okay, so Lionel Clue is... when he jumps out of the server every time, he drops off this timing sheet entirely, it looks like. So it is making things a little bit confusing up towards the top of the order. But for now, this is what it should look like, because this is everybody joined in until things change up. And they probably will. I mean, Null up 4/10 on his lap time. Skitter up a 10th. Bernard King up 6/10 down in the GT4s. Arne Visahi, he is up half a second. His teammate J.C. Krobler is currently in pole for the GT4s. And Stephen Koenig sitting in third place. So a bit of a lonely spacing for the GT4 drivers. But nonetheless, good job for these three drivers for coming through to every round and every race. Jason Abs... Oh, sorry about that, Carl.
You know, with those GT4s, I mean, they may be slow with the power-wise, but they still look bloody good doing it.
They do look great. And, I mean, not really the KTMs. They're not my favorite looking GT4. They're a bit strange. But shout out to our chat. Good to have you guys with us. And here with what was just a filler series on a Wednesday to see us out to the end of the year. We've managed to pretty much broadcast every GT4 race and GT3 race on Wednesdays and Thursdays. There's been a couple that we haven't been able to cover. And we missed out on this one last week on the Wednesday. But we're here for the final one. This should be our final broadcast for the year. Unless we have another fun series that comes through and we decide to broadcast that. But officially, this will wrap things up. Mark Ansel up 3/10 and Bruno Cadilli up a 10th. So those are just from the cheat sheet that I can see on the side of my screens, where I can just see their lap deltas. So what can happen here is that the conditions can go dry when we go over to the race. Quali, practice, race, all the same random weather conditions. So for now, obviously we see that rain coming down. Does Cadilli go up? He's actually lost that 10th that he had found. So it looks like Morgan going to be the driver to go up on his lap time. No one able to answer that Lexus up at the top, hey? 6/10 quicker than Junior McCall in that Lamborghini. And everybody kind of bunched up around him. Arten's not quite getting the same out of his Lexus. Down in 10th place at the moment. But for Clue, he's going to hope that we do have some rain going into the finals. So this should wrap up quali here. Doesn't look like anyone up towards the front of the order is going to better this unless Lewis is going to be the man to answer those dreams. Out through the Mercedes complex. The Retro Neon 204. Jason saying the yellow hurts his eyes from Bruno's car. I mean, we were saying that if you missed it, you have no excuse. But interesting color scheme as well. Jason, did you also happen to notice Bruno's team name that he put in there as well? So that one is going to be for Kyle to pronounce for us when we next go over to Bruno.
Why are you putting me on the spot now? I mean, like... Oof.
I mean, you can also just say no, you don't want to do it. So, you know.
I'll give it a shot.
No, I honestly don't want you to attempt it. I don't want to attempt it. I want no one in the world to have to try and attempt it.
Well, it looks like he's in the pits now, so it's only a couple of drivers out at the moment. So...
Yeah, Barkhazen, one of them, 10th up on his time. So he could potentially snatch that top 10 start from Ottens. Ottens is finished out. He's sitting in the pit box. And I think all the GT4 cars have completed their laps. So, no, it's Steven Koenig still out on his last quali lap at the moment. So Bernard Barkhazen will be the last in the GT3s. And he is actually currently up. So this could actually improve Bernard Barkhazen's time. The number 667 out through the final corner. And down the start-finish straight. Where does he jump up to? He doesn't. And he will only end on 11th. In 11th. So that's okay for him. He's close enough for things to work out.
Rain in this session, so watch out for slippery curves and remember to brake earlier.
We have our race director there giving us a little bit of insight into knowing that it is going to rain for the rest of this race. So that is going to be, well, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen maybe in 40 minutes because we only get a short little prediction. So it could be wet, could be dry. Let's pull up those quali times for the meantime. You can see the teams and the drivers coming down. Morgan McCall is currently at the top of the championship, if I remember correctly. Morgan McCall, then Bernard King in the Rad Racers car. And then the Kaike Racing team with Gian Mutten and Johan Null. They are currently sitting in third. So they're down in 14th place after quali here in the wet in that BMW M6. For Bernard King and the Rad Racers, he's also down in 15th place. So looking to make up as many places as they can off the start, those guys. And for the likes of Morgan McCall, starting in 5th place. Junior, who's currently in 6th in the championship, starting then in 2nd. But for Hannes van Veek and Lionel Clue, this Lexus, the rain, that's going to be a good combination for them.
I mean, taking a look at this grid, I think we're going to be in for a show tonight. I mean, with these drivers and what they're capable of, but also the track conditions, I think the tracks are going to play a very big part in this. So we probably might even see guys from the lower grid be moving up a lot quicker than usual.
I mean, in the wet, turn 1, that's going to be a bit interesting here. We know in a lot of races, that's always something that people highlight, turn 1 chaos. It's not something we want to see. We had a great 6 hour on Sunday. We managed to avoid chaos at the start of the race. And hopefully here for the next hour and 25 minutes, we get set up for what will be a good race if nobody comes together at the start. It really does make a big difference. And the drivers they all know. It's not something that they need to be told. The drivers' briefings have become relatively shorter and shorter as the seasons have gone on, and it's less of, don't do this, and more of, what you shouldn't be doing. And that's really the way that they go. So full wets will be slapped onto the cars here. So they will certainly be starting on wets. You see the track conditions are wet. Temperature 28 degrees on the surface, 23 degrees ambient. And 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can see those rain clouds look pretty thick and heavy above. Does not look like it's going to be easing up for the opening parts of this race, at least. We'll have to wait for further weather confirmations to let us know where it is. But either way, I mean, if it rains for a good portion of the race and then goes dry, it takes a while for that track to dry up, depending on how long it's been soaked as well. So all those factors are going to come up. Even if it does, dry up, it's still going to be one of the factors that we kind of wanted to phase into this, making the series random and variable weather. That was very much intentional. Had we not done that, I don't think we would have, been able to just test those parameters that you get in those server settings. So we've had dry races, and now we've had some wet quali, a wet race. Hopefully we get a bit of a transition. I hope we do, because that's the focus point. Can we see something like that? I think a lot of people have kind of reiterated that they don't really like always just doing a full wet race. They'd like to maybe have it start dry and then the rain clouds come out, starts to rain, or it rains at the start. And you want it to be predictable. You want drivers to be able to prepare that it's going to be wet and then dry, and they can, because drivers and gamers will just grind that out. So when it comes to the variable weather series specifically, then those are the kind of things you want to implement. I don't think that applies to all the other series, the Pro Series side of things that we run. That stuff, I think, random variable weather can sort of stay away from the stuff that is getting very competitive. I think the preparation is pretty key. But I think having a couple of series that replicate some random weather conditions, that could be cool. So lining up in 2x2, Kyle. We're about to go live for the final round here at the Nurburgring.
This is going to be very interesting, and it's the last race of the season, so all of them are going to go all out as much as they can.
Indeed. 2x2 waiting for the green lights, and there we go. We see the green flags being waved, and our mixed multiclass mini enduro season 4 or season 1 round 4 is off to a start. Onto the inside clue will go. Kadili trying to follow around the Brian Lewis is going around backward. Have we all? I think our servers actually dropped, to be honest. So
yeah, this is not good.
it is certainly not good. We've definitely lost connection here. I'm just gonna see if it's me or if everybody else is having the same thing. But it looked like a little bit of chaos went down early on. We're gonna try and just get us back here. Let's just see if we're gonna get a server restart. Good evening, everybody. What would it be without a little bit of last round drama and chaos? We haven't had it the whole year, so can't really complain. Not really sure. Did the random weather kill it? We'll have to be right back. So we will be back shortly, and I'll just try and see what's going on this side. So I'll see you guys in a moment.
I don't wanna fight anymore. Just turn around and leave me. The tear in my eye drops on the floor alongside my speech.
Can confirm that it was indeed just on my side that we had the crash. So the serve is still holding strong. It has meant that we missed the starting part of that race. And it looks like Lionel Clue going to get out ahead of Junior McCall. Bruno Kedili slotting into third place. Dewald Null in that number 109 into fourth. Brian Lewis sits in fifth place. So everybody currently just slotting in. Doesn't look like we've missed too much of this. I mean, we've jumped right back into everybody still having got through the opening phase pretty okay, because a lot of the cars are still in this. Dewald Null on the chase, down on Bruno Kedili. William Wentworth under pressure here from Morgan McCall. So things have gone wrong for Morgan, down in 15th place here. See from the rear wing, Kaike McLaren 720S. Under attack from the number 19 there of Morgan. And behind them would then be Jean-Andre Brits in that Lexus. So let's just keep an eye on that 94. The rain working in their favor today. And they're going to have to make that work as much as they can. So good work from William Wentworth to just make life difficult here for Morgan McCall. Not going to just give him that position willy-nilly. And, you know, that would have been in the old days. William would have certainly been in that position. So good to see the work that he's put in. And can make life nice and difficult for the number 19, our championship leader, really. So for everybody else, that's the perfect place for him to be. See a lot of damaged brake markers and cones there, and I'm not quite sure who went off, but it looks like they did murder a lot. Junior McCall under pressure here from Bruno, and they are going to go down into the braking zone of turn 1. Inside there for Bruno. Is he going to make this stick? He's got the Bentley all the way on the outside, putting pressure on as well. The very bright WRG Watchim team. That's the team name. I said it for you, Carl. You don't have to worry about messing it up now. Bruno all over the back end of Junior out through the exit of the Mercedes complex.
Well, for one, the team name, I mean, where in the right mind did he come up with that? And two, that stick down that first turn was absolutely brilliant on his part, especially in these conditions where anything can happen.
Zim just pulling to the outside there, just staying out from the spray, trying to get himself a more ideal track position. And he is going to be caught up in that difficult to follow aerospace behind this Lamborghini in front, and he has to just bear that in mind for himself. Bruno having a good race out here with Junior. Dewald Null, he's kind of falling off the pace of the two of the drivers in front of him. He needs to just get his head down. Doesn't want to lose the opportunity to benefit off of their fight that's going to come out. Fraser Cooper holding down a top 5. He's going to be happy with this at the moment. And the EKZ boys, they're going to be very happy with a current P6. They've started the race cleanly, and they just need to make sure they can get this Ferrari to the very end in the same sort of fashion. Keep it in the top 10. Keep it consistent, and a good race will come your way. These two up the front, they're still fighting it out. Let's have a look down at our friends in 10th place. Barkhazen here is going to be under pressure from McCall. So Morgan had gotten past William and then got past Joandre Brits as well. Now going to be having a look at the 667 as Bernard Barkhazen going to also just make that number 19 work so hard, forcing him all over the track. Oh, Junior just looking for a little bit of space to see if he can slot himself through, and is not going to be out through turn 4.
George, the thing is with rainy weather and this kind of track, mainly the weather is if you stick behind a car that you're hunting down, that spray is coming at you twice the speed of what you're going, which you also have to contend with if you don't know this track very well.
Could be. Oh, you see that Lexus in the background there? Is that Brits? That's it's not Brits that's run wide. It's the same Lexus that keeps struggling time in, time out. Is that Otten's? I wonder. I'm not really sure where they are at the moment. I think it might have been this Lexus here. I'm not 100% sure. They've jumped back to the pits at the moment, but they seem to be struggling throughout. And look at this, the GT3 GT4 Racing, number 13 M6. They made their way all the way up into 7th place. So it's all about those points, and for them, putting themselves in a good place to take a couple of those home here in the final round.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the guys will be looking for those points anywhere possible, so that's one major factor as well. With this last race, guys will be heading for points.
And at the same time as trying to get those points, making sure they get it to the line here, because, I mean, just look at this in the mid-pack here. From 10th down to 16th place, there's quite a couple of drivers or just a few tenths off of one another's bumpers. And look at the little Ferrari Cup going down from 17th to 20th. Malotto, Hugo, Pretorius and Gerber all in a row. And now we've got Bernard King trying to catch up to Morgan, because whilst Morgan is caught up behind Barkhuizen, it's costing him time. Now they are going to go alongside down into the braking zone of Dunlop. Morgan McCall going to be going around the outside, trying to get that run and that cut back. He is going to have a good entry speed coming down, and Barkhuizen going to just be putting his car all over that defensive line. This is only costing that number 19 so much time. I mean, he's got an hour and 15 minutes to still get through the grid, so that's not the worst thing. He's got time. But Barkhuizen, I mean, he's kind of teasing. He leaves the door a little bit open. Morgan can't quite get there, and then he manages to get the car parked back on the apex. So here, down the back stretch, down the into the braking zone. Who's going to go later and more defensive? Barkhuizen managing to get the car back across the racing line. And right now,
we're going to have a 5-2 T1.
They are. I think it's going to be time for the helicam to come down. Around the outside, Morgan will go. And it looks like Barkhuizen just wanting to hold that inside line. But look at that dry line developing up there. He's going to be on there for the braking points. Where does Barkhuizen get that car turned around to? Good turn coming in from Barkhuizen. He's going to have to run down. But the inside line sets up there for Morgan. And he will get the move done. But look behind him. Look at the likes of... Who's that? It looks like Bernard King, William Wentworth, and Lewis. All three of them almost 3 cars wide coming out through turn 1, going into the Mercedes arena. And they all settle back down to stay neat and tidy. But a nice little close battle then going down for 11th place. As Bernard King going to lead away from Wentworth and Lewis. And in the background, you do see that yellow 155 M6 of Antel. Also just breezing into picture. There it is, the Retro Solo 155. So it is, it's certainly an interesting race up towards the front of the order. In the GT4s, who is currently leading things away there, looks like...
Arno Versaki.
It does look like Arno Versaki. JC Krobler down in 27th place, so he didn't look like he had the race start that he needed. And unfortunate circumstances coming out there then. But Arno Versaki, he's had a great season here in the mixed multi-class series. He's coming to lap the likes of Steven Koenig at the moment. So, an hour and 12 minutes to go, and Arne Visaki already going to be making some moves through his own field.
We also have a stop and go, George. I wonder what he was up to.
Probably a pit stop infringement coming out.
Possibly.
So that's going to be a bit of a frustrating situation. Up at the front, Bruno Cadilli. He's made a mistake somewhere along the line. He's down to 6th place. He's behind Cooper and Skitter. So something has not gone quite right for the WRG McLaren. And the Kai Racing 387. We saw them just looking so smooth and consistent. They're going to be still just in that top 5, defending it off. But our Black Ribbon Simulations sponsored team, EKZ, they're also our stream sponsors for the GT3 season. Overtake of the day, still open for submission. If you guys did race in that league, then you are most welcome to submit your clips. The details are in the Discord channel for what you need to do, and you can win yourself a pair of Sparko gloves. They are, for the first time, into the top 5. So that's looking good for that number 2 GT3 Evo. I think it's the Evo. Is it the Evo? It's not. It's just the standard GT3. So it's not the new revision of it. Oh yes. Not a big Ferrari, I wouldn't say enthusiast. So I'm not too au fait, at least with the Mercedes. I know you can spot out with the big grille at the front, the changes. So if you guys in chat know the easy ways to spot out the difference between the GT3 Evo and the standard GT3, we can have a little bit of a learn together series.
I didn't even know the difference, George.
No, I don't. I mean, visually, I don't know. I know that they've had some aero changes to them. I know that the two cars are very different in terms of how they drive in the sim. I mean, they've still got their similar sort of attributes, but there is a notable difference between them. It's not, they haven't just copied across to the same car. You know, they are based on different specs.
Well, they both look good either way, so can't really complain there, especially when they're Ferraris. I mean, to me, a Ferrari will always look good no matter what. But that's just me.
So Batis Hugo in the Kinetic Simworks number 23. You see they call their team Kinetic Simworks and they put in brackets it's new G, just because I see it then I don't remember if I've seen it before. I'm pretty sure we've seen this team before. I'm not sure if it's new, but it could be new. I think the Kinetic Simworks team is new. Carl, what do you think?
I think it might be a good choice, but I think in his mind it's a good choice, so I'm gonna stick with that.
So Bertus was defending off against Jaco Pretorius, but for now we'll have a bit of an empty road in front of him. Morgan McCall into 8th place. He's now got Gian Mutin coming through, and we've had another
Server break.
not a server break, but my my ACC is keeps breaking here. I keep losing. I do apologize, everybody, for these
GCs.
these situations. It's super strange. It breaks my broadcasting tool every time, so
Green light, go, go, go.
it's frustrating.
I mean, I'm also having internet problems, so don't stress.
Okay, we're back. We're back. And we haven't missed too much. That was a small little break. Cooper, though, under pressure from Kadili as they make their way down towards Dunlop. And Kadili will comfortably get past before the braking zone. So up into 5th place goes Kadili. Sorry, 4th place goes Kadili. And Tierveld now in the Spetning. I mean, he's had just so much consistency coming down. Up into 3rd now. And, I mean, they've still got their mandatory stops to make. But for... Whoa. What moment was that? Because 2 cars facing the wrong direction. We have to get a dash replay of this. 30 seconds back. Can we go back to the dash? Let's just see. Onto the brakes then for the left-hander. I mean, this is now where the danger comes down. Oh, there it is. So, oh, that Porsche rolling. Oh, misses him by such a small margin. You see them in the background of the shot there. Definitely not where they wanted to be.
I think the weather got to their Porsche, especially in that corner.
Say that again, Carl.
The weather got to the Porsche in that corner because, like I said before, you put the power down at the wrong point in the corner, that braking comes out, you lose it.
You do have to be very, very cautious on eggshells as you go round. And now it's a little bunch up from 7th down to what looks like even 12th place. All in a little line. Skitter. He's lost a couple of positions into 7th then. So I'm not sure if they came off track because the car doesn't look too damaged. Morgan McCall is then going to be putting some pressure onto the number 2. And is this Muton in the midst of all of this? So Muton has then already been passed out by a Skitter. And now under pressure from the other Italian manufacturer.
I wonder if we have any other battles lower down on the field there, George.
We do not, unfortunately. It is the closest battles on track at the moment is this little bunching of cars. Of the front of things, let's see. Our leader is Lionel Kalu. He is 7.4 seconds up the road from Null. And Kadili now into 3rd. He is he's going to be trying to chase down, but still 7.9 seconds off the back of that 109 Bentley.
Not that, but the 2 guys that are driving the M6 are very brave, especially in this weather.
Why is this?
I mean, personally, for me, an M6 and the weather and this kind of weather on this track doesn't suit it. But I suppose he's doing very well, so I mean, Beaton's holding on, so see how far he can go. Isn't disappointed. So
I think there's a fair bit of top end that BMW can probably get out, and that's maybe where Muton can still hold on to the others. I'm not very familiar with driving the car a lot in the wet. I know it's not picked a lot as a favorable wet car. That's about as much as I do know about it. But that said, how many cars are really built to really drive in the wet?
Basically, a very few. I mean, most of the cars, when they're made for GT3 racing, they're made in the daytime when it's dry. So,
I mean, I think they probably have some considerations for wet setups, etc., in their development of them, but they're certainly all designed for mostly dry conditions, it feels like. And I say that from just the sim point of view, not from the real life car point of view. I've never driven them there, but trying to get the most out of these wet setups, so difficult. The almost go-to from the actual intuitive side is that traction control stops you from losing control, but it saps so much the power away at the same time that it's a small little dial in session that's required to really get it to the point where you're still in control and you're not losing enough from what the car electronics are doing to your power systems.
definitely. I mean, those electronics drain power. And when if you take a look at the F1 car, they have so many buttons on there as well. It's even got a button on the wheel for an F1 car so that you can charge the battery when you stopped. And I mean, I don't know if these GT3s have it, but I mean, it would be a great asset for these type of cars.
Some of these cars have two versions of traction control. So they've got a TC1 and a TC2. That traction control cut setting is how much of that power is being cut for the duration. And the other controls the sort of the impacts of it. So, you know, it could be a high cut of power, you know, drop the power for a short burst of time, or a sort of smaller cuts of power over a longer period of time. So those two parts of the electronic systems are there to, you know, work with the drivers in the cars that have those systems. And then a lot of them just have standard TC1 setups, which is just one form of traction control to change. So it's an interesting dynamic, the wet weather racing, and we do get to see Morgan going around Brian Lewis there, and now into the braking zone. Can he get this slowed down? Lewis going to be crowded right. Will he be able to sweep back in? Morgan going to be struggling with some grip there, but we'll have the inside line over Lewis. So looking very comfortable. Kadili making good time up to Null at the moment. I mean, look at that, Null into second place just from his consistent driving style.
He's been very consistent since the start. But you know, the major factor that's going to come down with being consistent is the mandatory pit stop. Because you have to decide when to go in at the best time. So you, when other people are in, you just clear ahead of them. So I think that's what he's probably thinking about coming up.
He does have to go in at some stage, doesn't he? And currently, in terms of his lap times, about 1.2 seconds slower than Kadili behind him, and he is only about a tenth slower than that Lexus in front of him. So Kadili could ideally here in this situation catch up to Null and Clue based on the pace of the last two laps. But it's a story and narrative that we might have to see if it plays out. For now, it's not going to be the case. and we are going to have to see where things go. But we have gone down into our sub 1 hour mark remaining. 57 minutes left on the clock. And looking at some of the battles here, looks like some of the action has also just slowed down a little bit. Closest battles on track. Is it Malorto and Hugo? Are they... No, it's Malorto passing out on one of the GT4s.
Which would you prefer for this track, George, out of the GT3?
You mean which car would I pick?
Yes.
I mean, I'm a big Porsche fanboy, so I would still be driving the Porsche here.
GT3 2017 or 2018? 2019.
The 2018 or the 2019 version, I think it is. Whatever the 991.2 revision is, with a little bit more of a mid-engine design change.
2019.
And yourself, Carl? Which is your pick?
I would have to say, I love McLarens, but I think, you know, it would probably have to be the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. I mean, just get the Rogue Run V8, or that would take the cake for me.
It's also nice and stable, so Morgan McCall gonna pull in a pit stop here. He had passed on Hendricks, but then Hendricks was putting a lot of pressure on him to get past again. So Hendricks will stay. Morgan McCall will go in.
Or at least Logan McCall, like, he has the right mind going now before all the other drivers, but see if that works to his advantage is another get. And you've also got a GT4 in the pits as well. Daniel Rowe, P23. So, I mean, let's see if that works for him as well.
Yeah, just trying to get himself pitted up in that GT4 class. 54 minutes on the clock. We got Barkhuizen and Lewis. They are a couple of tenths behind one another. We saw Barkhuizen doing some good defensive work against Morgan McCall earlier. Now he's going to have to do the same treatment out to the retro driver. And Lewis in that Audi going to be putting some pressure onto the 667 Ferrari now as they make their way out of Dunlop up towards the Schumacher races. So Barkhuizen, a couple of car lengths then from Lewis. Very good exit coming out, and it's all about nailing those apexes. Doing just that. Junior McCall and Noah Hendricks. The chase down between them will not continue because Junior McCall then going to make the call to go into the pits as well. So both McCall brothers putting a lap after one another. The call coming in from their race director, Rob. Bucks. And the boys follow suit. So Skitter. Defense then from the likes of Hendricks. And it looks like the likes of Antor as well in that 155. The Antel is going to go alongside and get past Hendricks coming into the Mercedes complex. All in the same strategy, so all for position.
The Mercedes looks very wild with delivery.
It looks wild.
I mean, you got glossy white, glossy dark blue, almost like purple, and then glossy red for the accent. I mean, it's wild, but I mean, it works. To me, it does. Looks wild. But
We have the Am to Play guys did run a Black Lives Matter themed livery for a long time. They were like black, blue and red, but this is back to the original colors that I do remember them running with. So, oh, that looks like Skitzer facing the wrong direction in the background there. Let's see if we can get a look at what happened there. It will be into the Schumacher S's. Grab a little bit too much curb somewhere, perhaps.
I think so.
Oh, misses the braking zone. So it goes very deep coming in. Oh, and then just loops it. Back in, follows him round. That's very unfortunate for them. So that's going to drop them all the way down to 12th place. So even behind the likes of Brian Lewis there. Called 11th place as it gets updated. So that's very unfortunate for the DKZ Motorsport team. Kadili still trying to close down on Null up at the front here. Dochaba. He's made up a couple of positions on this last lap. Oh, sorry, his last start. A couple of positions. He was in 17th place. Or is he in 17th place now? Timing sheet's showing 20th. So something not quite syncing up there. We have to wait for it to get updated over a sector. But there are cars stationary on the exit of the chicane. I think it was GT4. Not sure which GT4 that is. That is stationary there. They'll be having to get themselves out of the way. I think it was perhaps Stephen Koenig that was stopped up there. We'll be making space to let the GT3s come past him. Just struggling a little bit in the wet, I think. As I know Stephen's relatively new into the ACC side of things, so when that comes down, the weather side, also you do most of your practice in the dry. Not a lot of time gets dedicated over to wet weather racing, and especially in a series where it's random, you don't know when the rain is going to come. Can't really be prepared for it.
I mean, a lot of these guys are used to rain, but I mean, as with Steven, he drives GD guys in real life as well. So I think he might be too used to it, but I mean, it's a sim game, anything can happen. But I think what most of these guys, if the weather does change, it's going to affect him big time. Because I mean, you got the cars and the Lexus, which is good in this type of weather. But then you got the other cars which are also good in dry conditions. So that's a big factor you have to put with this.
So do you notice anything interesting here, Kyle?
The track is getting dry with the racing line the more and more the cars are going.
I mean, it is indeed, but also Devalt Null is starting to get pressurized by Kadili, as you see them both in the same shot. Now, this is for position. That 4.7 seconds on the timing sheet hasn't updated yet. And these two are a lot closer than that indicates.
I think Brunner Kadili is gonna keep now in front for a few more turns. He's gonna try and have a go at it.
Junior McCall for the ATK Academy in 7th place at the moment. He's got Noor Hendricks a fair portion behind him at this point in the race. And he's going to try and catch up to Skitter, who has had a couple of incidents early on, putting the car off the track. So potentially an extra position to be made up there. But 46 minutes remain on the clock as we go racing still in the wet. And the prediction from the weatherman says that we've still got rain coming out for at least the next 15 minutes. And we've had rain since the start. So this track absolutely soaking wet.
Ooh, and we have a Mercedes off track.
I think Noor Hendricks could be the victim there. And we'll jump back and see if it was the Mercedes that came down with that. Running a little bit wide round. Hooks it, spins it. And, loop comes round. Catches the likes of Bernard Barkhuizen there. So that was a collision that went down. But the 901 then rejoins the racing circuit, pointing in the right direction. And not fighting with the rear end.
Bernard Barkhuizen is not going to be very happy after that. I mean, even though it's a tap, but I mean, it still could have ended very badly. Akadili is going to have trouble with that Porsche in the next couple of turns. But it looks like a Porsche has a very familiar livery from the front side. If I say so.
The Golf colors coming out.
Not only that, the Porsche looks like, with that livery, it looks like a GT3 livery. The blue and the orange.
It's the GPX racing colors.
No, I see the colors there. Let's say some as well.
There again.
Now see the colors.
Yeah, it does look great. So timetable's not updating at the moment. Having a lot of technical difficulties at the moment. So if we do pull the stream, that might be because I can't get into anything. So the timings, the driver updates to switch between the cars. I don't have updated driver names, so it pretty much just goes to wherever it goes when I click. So a lot of the ACC things not quite working this evening, and we've been disconnected from the broadcast twice really. So I do apologize for that, but
very big technical difficulties.
yeah, it's a little bit out of my control at the moment, so I really can't do too much. But side by side, going up through the Schumacher S's, GT4s, GT3s in the splits, Arne Visaki and Steven Koenig in shot. And the KTM Crossbows will then meet up again. Koenig will again concede a lap out. So Visaki on his 13th lap. He's only 2 laps down off the race leader. 1 lap down on most of the GT3s. Steven Koenig, he's completed 11 laps out here. So he's 2 behind the likes of Visaki at this point. So Arne Visaki absolutely flying.
And he's flying even though he's in the GT4. It's it's very surprising, but a lot of these guys also are doing driver swaps for this. So they might be looking at doing the driver swap when they put.
I cannot fix the timing sheets at all. They're refusing to update here, so it's becoming a little bit frustrating. Some of them, I was getting an update earlier on. They were working out, but the broadcasting tool still does not want to allow us to switch to drivers cleanly. So that's a bit of a frustrating one. Shout out to Arno from Mansburg in the chat, just giving us some encouragement there. A couple of gremlins indeed. I do want to be able to finish out this round, but
Ooh. And there we go again.
yeah, guys, this
working.
unfortunately is not meant to be. It is a little bit beyond my control at this point. It keeps disconnecting. Timing sheets aren't working, so I'm not sure if there's something actually on the ACC side that has been updated and not coming through, but we're gonna call it. I can't keep restarting these server things, and it makes me a little bit sad that we can't come in. I'm gonna try again, just on my side here, to see if I can get it working offline. If I can get it to be working consistently and smoothly, I'll resume the stream. But if these things keep happening, then I'd rather just not keep going to these technical difficulty breaks. So thank you guys for putting up with the technical difficulties at the moment. Kyle, thanks for coming through and joining me. But let's see if I can get something going and see if we get some consistency here.
Yep. We'll try and work it out. Don't worry.